I have something that I want to talk about. There has been like a topic that goes around. You have to be yourself. There was like a reflection from someone saying, how can you be yourself when you have created all these identities of yourself, acting in a specific way with this person, and then you're acting in a specific way with a group of people, and then you have different kind of like personas that you present to people because you've learned to adopt these personas. Like, it wasn't safe for you to fully be yourself, so you had to kind of learn how to fit in as a survival mechanism. So it's like, okay, now that you are an adult, or now that you're doing this or that, how can you be yourself fully? And like, when you say to be yourself, what does that mean? And I've been sitting here processing this. We've all been through things. We had to adopt defense mechanisms or survival instincts, or whatever you call it. Some say these things act as a shield so that you don't fully feel calm and present within yourself and around others. It's probably 3 a.m. here right now. I'm like, no, I have so much energy, I have to talk about this. First of all, okay, let's remove all identity. Let's remove all the external and just be you in your own home. You just being on your own. When it comes to exploration and learning about the self, you can only be by yourself for a certain period of time. You can't be by yourself your entire life. If it was just that, we wouldn't have other people in a family, or have groups, or have friends, or like, we would come here alone and die alone, right? So we're here as a collective, different groups of people coming together, interacting and learning and growing together. You can have as many experiences as you need on your own, but then there comes a time where you have to go out there and explore what self means. How can you know who you are when you come from a place where you are everything, and you come here being everything, but you don't have your memories, or you don't know who you are? So you come here to remember who you are, and that's the process that we're in physicality. When you say to someone, I'm so sorry you're not in your truth, or you're not in your inner child, you basically project something to them that is just your belief system about them. There is a difference when it comes to a person who their words and their actions don't match up. That's inauthenticity for me. There is a difference in taking the time to address the distortions and to address those things that hold you back from operating from your highest version of self. And there's a difference when you express out of different personas. We can all use personas depending on the environment that we are in, and for me that is not wrong, because, for example, it means that you are aware enough that people operate from different frequencies, consciousnesses. There's times where you have to present a persona. That doesn't mean it's not you. When you are in a work environment, for example, and you know that the person isn't ready to learn about all the things you've learned, or they don't operate in the same way as you, it's okay to use a persona to still be able to talk with them and work with them, but you can't expect to fully express who you are and expect them to fully get what you are. And there's people who are not ready yet, or who didn't choose in this lifetime to go through the process that you went through. It's a different thing to be aware of those personas and when they run you, and it's different to know when they come out and why. For example, when you are in a relationship and you have a partner that is aware of the divine feminine traits and the divine masculine traits and their distortions, when you try to improve yourself within the relationship, for example, and that can be in any type of relationship, when you know that you run masculine distortions, or you try to improve the feminine distortions, and you are becoming more aware of those defense mechanisms that come out, even though your partner holds a container for you to be able to be fully in your divinity and express through that. It's rare to be able to drop your defenses and fully come from your innocence. The other person has to hold that container for your inner child so that you can fully be in that energy. And not all the people who we interact with on a daily basis are capable of doing that. Now, it's different again to want to integrate those aspects of self, shadow integration, and why you use those things when there's no reason to use those things with your partner, for example, and difference when you use those personas when you operate in the 3D reality. Of course, when you are a healer, when you are a guide, and when you want to invite other people in a healing environment, you can't have your shields on. There's times when you use those versions and character traits and personas, and they are very needed in our lives when we interact with the external, because not everyone runs out of purity, and not everyone is on the level that you are in. So you can't go out there and expect other people to respect your inner child. I mean, that would be the perfect world, really, and we're getting there. But you know, we still run some programs and frequencies that don't operate out of like purity. So we have those defense mechanisms until our inner child feels safe and be okay with expressing. But when the other person has the shields on, you don't really know that person, or you don't have like a relationship with that person, you can't expect them not to have the shields on just because you know your inner child. Everybody's processing something, and you have to be aware of that. There is many types of people out there. So yes, we're all one, but we're also processing many different things, and we come from different backgrounds. And so knowing that and seeing that and respecting that other person, no matter where they're coming from, no matter how they talk to you or operate within their own bubble of reality, when they interact with you, yes, you're going to show who you are, but you don't have to show all your cards. And that's why we're doing the inner work. That's why we're exploring the self, learning, unlearning. You can't judge people just because you perceive something out of alignment, because we're working towards alignment. That means we're not in alignment all the time, but when we find that alignment, that inner child comes out, and it can be felt, and it creates ripple effects. You're exactly where you need to be, and you're processing exactly what you need to process for your own betterment, for your own lessons, for your own growth and evolution and all that. So when you're seeking for a guide to help you with something, just know that many people have belief systems that are different than yours. They have things that work for them that may not work for you. They have different upbringings and different situations going on in their lives. That being said, that doesn't make people inauthentic just because they're using like a persona or higher pitch, or they're not fully in their voice, or that, you know, because that is related to our nervous system. There are many times where we process things in our environment, or there's things going on, and our nervous system isn't 100% calm, but that doesn't mean we're not authentic. It means that we're processing something and we're not fully there yet, but we still show up and create something and share something that is true. I don't resonate with those versions of self, those personas being our prison of not being able to access higher dimensions or not being able to access our heart or something, because there is the right timing for everything, and the inner child knows what to do. The way you speak shouldn't present these things as separation, as separate from self, because everything is self. You can be different at work, you can be different on social media, you can be different when you are with your partner, you can be different when you are with your children, you can be different when you speak to your family, you can be different when you speak to other groups of people. It's not just one version of self. We have many character traits and we are multidimensional. In energy, we are hybrids. We have so much traits from all different types of beings and races woven into our DNA from our physical life, through our physical bloodline, and also through our energetic connections, parallel timelines, past version of selves, future version of selves, and they're all present in the now moment, in this now moment, in all moments, always. So to go to someone and say you're not authentic, that's not true, because the version that they are expressing at that time is the version of self that connects them with their presence, their expression, and they're exploring different expressions of self, different versions of self. If you're reading a script, that script came from your expression, or someone or something that has similar archetypes on you sparked something in you to go and create something, create a painting, create a video, create whatever it is. Your divine masculine is there to protect you, to keep you safe, so you adopt more of those masculine traits when you, for example, work at a place where that aspect needs to be in the suit in order for you to feel able to operate in that environment, being surrounded by various forms of frequency. That doesn't make it wrong, and that doesn't make it inauthentic, because that's part of yourself. So how can you come and then judge that aspect of yourself for doing this for you? I don't see this as separate. When you finally have a relationship with someone who knows how to hold the container, or how to treat you the way you deserve, or wants to treat you nicely, you still have those shields on. I see that. I have been in my divine masculine aspect for so long because I had to be the divine masculine in my life. I had to be the alpha female in my life because no one was showing up to do that, so I had to become that. And then when you find an alpha male who knows how to be the divine masculine with divine feminine traits and knows how to treat you, so then you're like, I no longer have to be the divine masculine, and I can relax in my feminine nourishing aspect. You can't just be one version in the entire relationship. There is ebbs and flows and cycles and integrations. You can't just say that's inauthentic or that's not part of the self just because it was a defense mechanism, or just because you had that more in the past and you now want to shift in a higher timeline, not being that version, or graduating from that version and being more of a divine feminine. You know what I mean? It's it's not one or the other, it's all together. You have to learn how to work with your breath and your body and your entire being, and learning how to tap into different frequencies through your center, through your spine, and working with yourself. It's all a learning process. Yes, you can be the master, but you are the master and still mastering the mastery skills. It's not one level and you're done. It's not one degree and you're done. It's learning and unlearning and repeating and redoing and deleting and adding up to. It's not one thing and you're done. So at least in my experience and through my perspective and through my own lens, you can't just go to someone and say you're not authentic. Even if you see it, even if your entire being says that to you, you don't know what the other person is going through and what the other person has been through in order to overcome whatever they overcame, and still show up and still create something and still speak their truth. And that's what shadow integration is, and that's what connecting to the inner child is, because you get to know those shadows, those demons, those beings of yourself closer. You get to know why they became like this, why you've adopted those belief systems or those mechanisms, and you still learn about those versions of yourself, because self contains everything. So when you speak about higher dimensions, or you can't know how to tap into your body because you feel like this heaviness on your chest when you've been through traumatic events or heartbreaks, it literally feels like a heaviness on your heart or a heaviness in your body, specific organs or your spine, or the way you're sitting or the way you're breathing, or whatever it is. There's so many things that go on when you go through this process, and that's why I'm teaching somatic intelligence and somatic healing. You can't say you're only authentic when you are with no makeup or when you are just like raw you, because what about the other versions? What about the versions when you have your makeup on, your glam on, when like you have all this? There's still parts of yourself, there's still aspects of your personality, and there's still things you like to explore, because we're not just here to be one version of self, we're here to explore all different things. And there's times when you're going to be your gangster. Feel like a feminine or like a child, or when you see what I mean. You can't say it's not authentic because some things don't resonate with me when I hear things like that. You're exploring something, you're exploring a layer. As long as you're aware that those things are layers of self or personas or traits, you're good. Yes, there's always working on the self and learning how to tap into the body more, and feeling like there's different breathing techniques where you can hold your breath and you feel things unplugging and you feel more of your center, and then you do things, there's so many techniques. When I'm alone, I like to learning how my body operates when I breathe in certain ways, or tuning into cables, or like learning how to use my third eye or access things. But I can't just be that version of self all the time. For example, I go for a coffee, I can just be that at the coffee shop. You can't fully access frequencies, abilities, until you feel all those things that happen to you, until you experience something enough times. Like I get it with the new age spiritual stuff that you see online. You're not a healer just because you've watched a YouTube video about a tarot deck, or have a, what do you call it, like a certification, Reiki or whatever. That doesn't make you a healer. What makes you a healer is a lot of processes and repetitions and mistakes, and then facing all that and feeling all that and learning who you are in the process. And it's not like there's no end to this. There was someone saying like, you've learned to act from those personas so much in your life that this becomes like your prison, and then when you want to drop the shields and drop those defense mechanisms, you feel like you can't because you don't feel safe, or because you don't know how to be yourself. Like you don't know who of all those versions of self or personas or character traits is the real you. And then I was listening to this and I was thinking, well, everything is the real me, because there is a reason why I'm expressing, learning, or processing a specific archetype, a specific character trait, a specific persona. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And yes, there is another person saying you should thank those versions of self for the job they had, or for when they help you deal with like a bully or whatever, and you no longer need those versions. But like, who decides that? Why should this be a thing? I see this as a belief system. When you say you're faking a voice and that's a persona coming out, so what? Doesn't make it wrong. There's times when we are light side and then we go night side, and then we go light side and then we are in the inner child and we don't want to come out. And there are just times where, like, depending on what we're processing, what makes this being in balance is when your divine feminine and your divine masculine and your inner child have the same goal. And what is the goal? To all work together for the betterment of the physical, the mental, the energetic, as one, all merging together, working together. Enough with the games, enough with the wasting time, with the distractions, with the self-sabotaging, although sometimes not perfect. Progress, it's not linear. You just have to learn how to balance things out and still make things work and create momentum. And I'm a Gemini myself, but I have Taurus rising and moon in Scorpio. So being the Gemini and knowing that I'm not just one version of self, I am 4 versions of myself depending on what's happening. You have the builder, the destroyer, the nourisher, and the seductress. You have 4. And depending on the things you go through, depending on the planets, based on your sign and everything, you experience all 4. Like, one day you can be version number 1. Next day you could be version number 4. Next day it could be version number 3. Another day it can be all of them. Like, it depends. Yes, there's times when your inner child isn't in the suit. Is that the goal? No, the goal is for our inner child to be in the suit and for us to be fully in our inner child mode no matter what happens. But we're not there yet. It's not just a belief system. When the inner child feels safe and when the inner child wants to come out, it will come out no matter what. That's why we're here, to learn from one another, to reflect things, and to grow together, to evolve. There's no judgment. So that's what's up. That's integration. That's unity. That's a team working together. That's my truth. What's your truth? Comment below. See you in the next one.